Hi, and welcome to Customer Value and Beyond. I'm Stephen Lewandowski, and I'm honored to have you join us. I'm also proud to announce Jim Smith as my new co-moderator. Apparently, Jim liked our first episode last week so much that he decided to stay for the long run. Jim, before I continue, take a minute and introduce yourself to the audience again.
Yeah, thanks, Stephen. So I begged Stephen to join him again, and he was gracious enough to let me on. So just to reintroduce myself, Jim Smith. I am an unemployed director of customer success, looking for my next gig. While I meet new and interesting folks to share some insights, some laughs about customer success, SaaS, customer value, and beyond. See how I did that, Stephen? I seamlessly fit in the name of the podcast into my introduction.
Wonderful. Yeah, off to a good start. Thank you, Jim. And what we're doing here, same as last week, we're trying to use our combined experience in tech, B2B SaaS, customer success, and building high-performing teams to tackle burning questions, explore the latest industry buzz, and just find fresh ways to create genuine value for you, but also for our customers, right? And this is what it should be about. Whatever we're building as an engineer, as a product manager, as a customer success manager, as an AE, we're all working on the customer value, and this is what this all should be surrounded. Today, we have the pleasure of having two very exciting guests join us. We have the wonderful Kate Forgione join us from London and Kathleen Rouse from Atlanta. Both are very seasoned customer success leaders, and we will have the honor of both of them to join us today. And why don't we start with a little bit of an intro of yourselves, and why don't you share a bit with us, maybe a little bit about your background, but also what we might not find on your LinkedIn profile. But first, welcome to the show, Kate and Kathleen.
Hello. Thank you for having us.
Yeah, hi. Good morning, good afternoon.
Welcome. How are you doing today?
I am admittedly on the way to jet lagged, I think. I just arrived into London this morning and have had a wonderful welcome from my friend Kate, who is on the call as well.
Wonderful. Welcome. And I guess you're here for a big show, so have fun during the show. Kate, you're in London as well, right?
Yes, we're in London together. So yeah, Kat's come over for the big conference on tomorrow. So we use the opportunity to reconnect, and it's great that Kat was able to join this live webcast as well.
Perfect. Welcome both of you. So back to the question. Sorry for the intro hiccup here. So why don't you share a little bit about us, from your impressive CV, from your background, what brought you here, and what's maybe not on LinkedIn that I don't know, we might have missed there. Kate, why don't you start?
Yeah, so my background is 13 years, I think, now in customer success, and I came from a consulting background. So I was in organizational psychology and people and change teams at a big four consultancy, and joined a little startup called Yammer here in London in 2012, and that's where I started my CS career. I'm also the founder of Customer Success Network, where Stephen, you and I have met, I think 6 years ago now. And Customer Success Network continues to support CSMs across Europe.
Wonderful. 6 years already. Crazy. And thank you for not mentioning that you visited us once in Berlin, where I was sick for once and missed you totally. So really still sorry about that.
Sorry, not sorry. Yeah, but you mentioned it, so I didn't need to.
Sure. Kathleen, welcome to you too.
Thank you so much, Stephen. And to give you a little bit of background about myself, I am the founder and principal of Cultivate CX, which is the culmination of a little bit over 20 years of experience in enterprise applications and customer success and growth. I've had the real pleasure of leading customer success teams at disruptive companies such as Yammer, which you may recognize from Kate's introduction, Microsoft, Financial Force, which is now Certinia, Coursera, and others. And now I am focusing on really delivering value as it relates to driving customer value, leading to retention, growth, and fantastic outcomes. And what you won't find out on my LinkedIn profile, I've been doing a series of Cultivator Awards, which are customer awards for excellence across my customers. And the common theme that came up in the interviews, even though it was, of course, highlighting the value that my customers gained, was they all mentioned that the important trait that Cultivate CX brings to the table, myself, is adaptability. One person even mentioned, you wouldn't have even known you were not a full-time employee of Meta. You just fit in, and you were able to break down silos and get to the challenges and solutions very quickly. So it's a pleasure to be on today.
Thank you so much. That sounds super interesting, and it's super funny that you both met at Yammer as well. So there's the connection there. That's probably been more than 6 years ago. Kate, maybe if you would point towards something on your LinkedIn, or maybe a fun fact about your background, or maybe a skill or something that helped you in your career, which might be uncommon. Why don't you share something about that with us?
Yeah, so there's 2 questions there. So I didn't share my fun fact, which Kat said earlier I must share. And it used to be on my CV. And actually, my best friend from the days I worked at KPMG here in London, came about because she laughed at me because this was on my CV and she was reading my CV. So I was actually on the Gladiators, did the trial for Gladiators and went through as a contestant in around 2008 in Australia. And now it's back on TV in the UK. It was one of the best experiences I ever had. Absolutely terrifying because you had to do stunts training. And I'm not the sort of person who likes roller coasters or jumping from heights. So it was quite testing to be a Gladiator contestant.
Nice. You don't happen to have a recording of that, right? So I think that would be quite fun for our next session.
I've got a single photograph is all that I've got left of those days, and of course, social photographs of the group.
Perfect. Kathleen, you didn't happen to be on that show as well, right?
I did. I wish I could say I was just as cool as that. But I have to say that, besides that being incredibly cool, Kate, I am so, I can only see, and I'm going to embarrass you a little bit more, Kate, on this call, but you do some, so you may not know, but Kate is training for a 10K swim on Sunday. So this level of resilience and discipline and focus on achieving an incredibly challenging goal is so inspiring. And so I have to just give you props for that, Kate. And I also want to know, maybe what is the one thing you decided to eat or consume after you finished your Gladiators stint?
Oh gosh. So thank you for the swim on the weekend. Yeah, the swim actually sort of feels easy. It's the weather conditions that are tricky since it's outdoors. So the thing about eating, I actually went just to make it more ridiculous, but I actually went straight on to do Olympic trials the following day for canoeing. So I didn't eat anything. I kept training.
I am not surprised. Why am I not surprised? Of course you did.
Yeah.
Wow, 10K swimming. I think the most I ever swam was 5K, so that was already quite exhausting. So yeah, good for you. How long have you been training for that?
Years. Years, but really with an effort for the last 3 months.
Very impressed. Nice. Good luck, and and we expect a picture of the medal then after the swim. So good luck with that.
No problem. Oh, so you wanted, sorry, navigating the unexpected skills. So that was the second part of the question. Then I'll pass over to Kat. I think Kat might have answered it, but like I think was navigating, like really navigating organizations quickly and working out what needs to be done as a junior consultant at like consulting companies. You often get put in situations where you are working with, in some cases, quite senior clients and solving quite big business problems without really having a significant background. So that little bit, same as Kat, adaptability, being able to move from one organization to the other quickly, understand what people's roles require and what makes them successful, and also navigating that organization to make stuff happen.
Yeah. Sounds good. Probably also help you a lot in consulting and customer success, right?
Yeah.
Well, to follow up on that, when you talk about like certain skills, so if you were to say, like, regardless of where someone is in their customer success career, and we'll start with you, Kat, and then I'll ask the same question of you, Kate. Whether they're like a newbie or mid or late in B2B SaaS, if you could only pick one skill to learn that would really set them up for success, what would that one thing be?
Ooh, that's such a good question. What I always tell people, whenever they have a conversation or they interact with a customer or they interrogate data, you can get so much further with a really good question than you can with trying to know all the answers. So I would say that probably the most important skill is, and it comes from developing, curiosity in every situation, regardless of what the situation is. But developing those very good questioning skills is what I would say is important.
Okay, so learn to ask better questions, more insightful questions, maybe some unique questions as well. Is that fair to say?
I think so. And I would say also asking the right questions. And I'm going to preempt the other topic we're going to talk about in a little bit, which is even when you're prompting in Gen AI, you always want to be prompting the right kind of question. What is the outcome that you're looking for? What is the scenario? And what is the information you're looking for? So I would say, not necessarily asking creative questions, but thinking about like, what is it that you're trying to, what is the question? What is the motivation? What is the value the customer is looking to drive as they are interacting with you, and trying to get down to that very basic level.
Okay. Well, you mentioned, so maybe this is a good segue. You mentioned prompting, and I'll pose this question to you, Kate. So speaking about prompts, obviously AI is ubiquitous. It's everywhere. It's here to stay. It's been in the news, and even more so this week. So when it comes to AI, and there's an arm race for like trillions of dollars at hand, so it's likely to stick around. When it comes to AI, like where do you realistically see it grabbing a foothold in B2B customer success, and where would you see it contributing mostly to customer value or conveying customer value, Kate?
So yeah, I like the difference AI has made to being able to deliver an effective customer success organization in like just the last 18 months or so is absolutely incredible. So everything from like improving predictive analytics, process automation, personalization, and like deepening our customer insights from multi-source data with the 4 things we struggled to do across multiple systems. And like I guess we've got, like we talk about, a single pane of glass of customer data. we're starting to get to that position now, and not just where we have static data, but we have interactive data where we're able to make, like to the first point, predictions that weren't robust in the past because humans sat behind, for example, a health score. Humans sat behind the decision points of what went into a health score, and now we have like more complex statistical tools that allow proper regression analysis, so you understand not just correlations but causations between different things that are going on at the customer and outcomes at the customer or customer value. So I think that is like the biggest change. And then we've got the edge use cases of the technology we use to like day to day, whether it's Slack, Notion, Gmail, everything's got co-pilots attached to it now that just make our life in the productivity space as CSMs a lot more efficient. But yeah, in terms of the downsides, I think what we shouldn't rely on for SaaS is to make decisions about humans without oversight. And I know this is kind of something that's like, you know, we're losing fact checkers at Facebook. It's that fact checkers for where they've made human decisions or must happen, because if you think about how, and I'm not an AI expert, this is like I've just read some books and formed some opinions, but essentially if we're using existing content to make decisions, there's already bias inside that content. So we need to ensure that we have human oversight to like remove biases. So an example that I've read is the justice system in the US uses AI to like preempt judge solutions before a case goes to court. And so it's used previous data about people who have been like incarcerated for different things. It has a profile, but that profile tends to map a certain type of person in a certain type of region. So even if that person was not guilty, they're more likely to be committed as guilty using AI based on previous experience with data in the system. So those sort of things we need to make sure that there's human oversight. Same with medical, anything in health tech that's relying solely on AI. I think there's lots of things, examples like that, without being deep in any of those domains.
So as a customer success professional, should I be scared? Optimistic?
No, I think
my gig.
Absolutely not. So I think Kat's also got a view on this, but like we'll talk, one of the questions we went quite deep that we ask at the end, but like we really think that, and linked to customer value, you can't necessarily create value at customers without human interactions, because technology, despite AA, still needs to be used by humans at one level, and humans need to understand the value that's created in the organization and how to like build that into their organizational systems, processes, and also enable it through anecdotes and storytelling. So I think there's the role of customer success managers will be more focused and more skilled around these consultation skills. And I've been working in the advisory sector for a little bit as well, and I'm definitely seeing the re-emergence of consulting skills as a fundamental package for CSMs to be able to enable new technology in an AI first world. Kat, what do you think?
I agree. I think, you know, we absolutely should not be afraid, right? There's a quote from Andrew Ng, founder of Coursera and data science professor from Stanford, who said, data science and AI professor from Stanford, who said, AI will not replace you, but humans who can use AI will replace you in the workforce. And so I think it's our job to remember that the real value is, Gen AI should be equipping our customer success managers with all the data and insights so they can have very strategic conversations with the customers and not spend all of this time pulling the data together and creating a point of view, right? The data should be there, but then the human comes in where we then provide that oversight. We fact check the data. Does it actually feel right? And then you add that value. You can never replace that human to human interaction. I was joking with a friend and also with Kate, I said, at some point we're going to need a chief humanity officer as AI continues to, be this wave that takes over the B2B SaaS industry, because we need to think about and preserve that human to human interaction, because that's really, at the end of the day, what's going to drive us forward.
I love the chief humanity officer, and I would propose that for every organization, and maybe even on the levels of humanity as well. So
until we build a bot for it, we'll build a bot for that, Stephen, and then replace it.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Kat, you had some really good points, and I just wanted to pick up and maybe do a bit of a segue to the customer value topic, right? So because everybody's talking nowadays about customer value, everybody's talking about the impact they can have, the impact their software they can have, and we talked a bit about the consultative approach to also managing your customer and managing customer challenges. And in my understanding, customer success always had like these maybe 3 pillars, right? There was more like the supportive side of things, very reactive, fix either issues or requests from customers one by one, right? There was the more salesy approach, right? Where you talked more about the expansion deals, upsells, cross, very focused about that. And then the third probably, which was the consultative approach, right? Very consultative, very proactive, very prescriptive in the way you talk to your customers about what they should do. Ideally, of course, maybe a bit of all. And now with AI getting into the game, and considering that we talked a lot about good question asking, right, and how you talk to customers, how do you think the whole customer value topic will be influenced by bringing AI to the table, and also more and more companies probably realizing that they need to discuss this value and understand the actual impact they have, or outcome, how you want to phrase it?
Yes. No, thank you for asking that. I think, going back to the value that I see based on the use cases that are out today in Gen AI and AI, is that it's really about making sure that our CSMs are they are already at a level where they can then ask those very strategic questions, not ask the basic questions that they should know, right? Signals, usage patterns, or even other data sources as how our customers are interacting with our content. All of that should be, that's a key use case that I see in AI, is providing the CSMs with all of that great knowledge. I think somebody once said, "Show me you know me." So that's where I think AI can really help our CSMs show their customers that they know them without having to spend hours and hours of combing through all of this data. It can surface all of that up with some very relevant, top of mind topics that are really important to the customers, so that they can then get to what is ultimately, one, what was the value you were trying to gain when you first purchased the solution? Are we getting there? But 2, it could be, oh my gosh, I just saw that something changed in your environment. I don't know, maybe you got acquired. The value has completely changed. Let's talk about that, right? So maybe that's too basic of a situation, but you get my point.
I love it. Thank you so much. And thinking about this, right? So we're talking a lot about like outcomes and value and impact, and not even mentioning adoption and all the stuff that might feed into that, right? So maybe a question to both of you, and a reply whoever feels who has who wants to answer that one, right? So especially looking at this value topic, right? And sometimes also not being very clear about what we're talking about, right? And something I love to do is trying to explain it to my kids, right? Or sometimes also just explaining it to relatives at a Christmas party, right? So what job are you actually doing, and what are you doing all day, right? So sometimes it's a similar direction you need to go, right? To just explain what we're doing. So how would you explain the whole topic of customer value and what we're trying to impact to, let's say, a 5-year-old? How would you do that?
Well, we're going to play a little game to answer this question. You ready, Kat?
Love it.
I'm ready.
Okay. And we don't know how this works when we did it before. See if we can do it twice in one day.
It would have been hilarious if you said hide and seek and just drop from the call. But go ahead.
Okay, that's what we were.
That's how the call ended.
All right, Kate, you want to start?
Game start.
Yeah, let's have a go. Let's have a go at this. And you guys are welcome to join in. If you put your hand up, you can go next. So when sometimes big companies need to buy new technology, and when they buy new technology, they need to implement it so that people in the organization can use it. When they implement it,
they're typically not just looking to implement it for the technology's sake. There's an actual value they're trying to derive from the use of it. And so
when a customer success manager starts working with one of these big organizations in their new technology, it's important that they understand the long-term vision and how it fits in for the strategy, the overall company strategy, division strategy, team strategy, and individual strategy too.
This is amazing. So that they can help the customer really tell that story in a measurable, quantifiable, and sometimes qualifiable way, right? With customer stories and anecdotal feedback of really what is the progress that we're making towards the actual goals we were trying to achieve.
So
how did we do?
I was going to go one more bit. I was going to give some examples.
Keep going.
So some examples of this around the value they create might be they've reduced costs, they've improved efficiency of the team, they've created some more profit, they've attracted new customers, they've found a new market. So there are many ways that we can define and create value with our customers, as long as it's aligned to their overall strategy.
I loved it. Perfect. I love it.
There was a game show from the 70s that did this. Was it the couples game? I don't know which one it was, but you would finish the couples on.
Yes.
Yeah, you would finish each other's sentences. That's what it reminded me of.
Yeah, I love it. And if I would have added something, I probably would have added that when I would talk to my school kid, probably that I would say, imagine me being your success manager, right? So, and I'm helping you do your homework, but you should learn how to do the homework. And we need to understand what your teacher actually wants as an outcome, right? So your teacher basically needs to show us or tell us what the result is they want to achieve, right? And then the teacher basically being the manager of the stakeholder you're actually working with, right? And figuring out what that is. And it's probably not the right pencil or the right type of paper. It's probably what's on the paper, right?
Well said.
Good answer. That was far more creative than what we came up with our tag team game.
It wasn't creative at all. I'm doing that every week with one of the kids, probably.
And then I bet your kids are like, yeah, they're just giving me homework because they have to.
Yeah, we just had the topic with the smallest one recently where we told him it's not about checking off boxes, right? It's honestly the conversation I had with a few CSMs over my career as well, where you just say, okay, it's not about checking off the boxes and just doing the stuff we define to do. It's about what your customer needs to achieve to actually get to where they want to be, right? So yeah, always good to kind of pretend to be a customer once in a while. And I think I'm a pretty bad customer. I think I'm a very demanding customer. So yeah, sorry to everybody out there.
Classic detractor.
But yeah, perfectly.
Steven.
Love the
Classic
game.
detractor.
Sorry, Jim, go ahead.
No, I was saying you're a classic detractor.
Yeah, always. And I'm German, right? So if you ask me, and this is also why NPS doesn't work in Germany, right? And I think you have this conversation going on in many companies, why NPS works or why it doesn't work, right? My opinion, for example, is that to me, NPS is more like a product score, right? It's okay for me if it's in product somewhere, right? And feeds into a product score, fine, but not much more. Because in Germany, nobody will give you a 9. Nobody will give you a 10, right? And companies that work globally at some point understand this, right? That comparability is tough. But yeah, just look at, I don't know, Japan, Germany, maybe France as well. You will most of the time not get an 8 or 9. So yeah, I'm probably someone who regularly gave a 6.
On the NPS though, I'm completely with you. As a CS leader, I've never really used it as a driving metric for that reason, but also because being European, we often have German customers, but also because it's such a confounded variable, and it's like it can be impacted by the recency effect and other things outside the actual product experience. So even an external factor like, there's a kid in the background distracting you while you're trying to use a product could be enough to like lower an NPS in product, because the external environment is making you generally unhappy, but humans aren't good at separating all those things out. So yeah, it's not always the best lead or lag metric for making decisions in customer success.
The comment's a good comedy fodder sometimes. Like, hey, I don't recommend software to my friends. So like, why are you asking me this question? There's more colorful ones, but sometimes for some levity, go in there, just read the comments. They can be quite entertaining. Beyond just kind of like giving a score. Are we waiting for me to say something, Stephen?
Well, I was waiting for that, right? So yeah, we need to find a signal, right? So, and by the way, this is live, right? For everybody out there, we still need to find a signal where we know, okay, we asked all the follow-up questions, we're happy with the result, right? So thanks, Kathleen and Kate, for being amazing guests, right? But your moderators are still learning how to do this. So yeah, we're still learning on the job. But Jim, go ahead. Do you have another question, Jim?
You can deduct it out of my paycheck, Stephen.
Which one?
I think it might just be from your NPS score.
The one that you don't give me. No, I know Kat had mentioned, and I know we're coming up on time. I think folks have to go soon, but no, Kat, you talked about adaptability as kind of like one of the things that you've been very good, that's helped you in your career. And maybe this aligns with getting, the one thing you'll have to do is learn how to use AI or be left behind. Just like back in like the mid 90s, you had to learn how to use a computer. The internet was here, and it was this big kind of crazy thing. So on the subject of adaptability, I guess, like where do you have to be most adaptable these days in order to be successful? Is it just learning AI? Is it learning in general? But like, where can you apply that adaptability to help you out in your career?
Ooh, you have some really good questions, Jim. So one of my clients is Coursera, and they recently released a World Economic Forum trending skills, how to future-proof your workforce. And one of the top skills, especially in leadership, is leading through disruption and the unknown. And especially with how fast things are changing, it feels like every single day I wake up and there are 10 new Gen AI apps out there, and you just cannot keep up with all of it. And so I think it's literally to be, not just a good CSM. If you want to be a good leader, a good individual contributor, a good manager, a good person, not to get too philosophical, sorry. I think adaptability and being able to thrive in, the unknown is really where we're going overall as we think about the, how the world is changing and how quickly we are changing.
And sorry, don't want to hijack the topic, but Kathleen, I think we can't remind people often enough nowadays to just be nice to each other. So yeah, please keep going.
That's true. And that goes back to the chief humanity officer, right? Like, I mean,
Yes.
At the end of the day, companies are just a whole bunch of people. So I'm going to get off my soapbox, but I think it's just important that we remember that the human in the loop is critical. And we always have to remind ourselves of the criticality of that.
Absolutely. And I just recently had a very good conversation with a few senior managers, and there was also an executive in the round, where we had a discussion about how often it happened to each and every one of us that this old saying, right? So you always meet twice in life, right? Which is just very real in also B2B SaaS, right? Where also reference calls are a thing, and that I think sometimes people aren't even aware that these reference calls are happening, right? Sometimes also out of the blue, and you might get a call and you will get a very honest question about, hey, if you work with someone and if you would again love to work with someone. And so never burn bridges, right? Be nice to people, right? Connect with people, collaborate. And if that person will get a call someday, whether you should get a job or not, the answer might be more positive and more in your favor. So always good to be nice. Yeah. Awesome. All right, so we're already over time, and I guess we could continue probably also for the next 2 hours, and we'll find more topics of that. So thanks, Kathleen and Kate, for being amazing guests, for your great preparation, great topics, and just overall, yeah, just being great. I would love to be in London right now with both of you and meet you at the event tomorrow, but I will leave that to you. Good success and all the success there. And thank you for joining, and hope to see you again soon. Maybe one word, one sentence you want to add for people to take home. We had humanity, we had be nice to each other, something you want to provide to the audience for the way home.
You're off mute, Kate, so why don't you go?
Yeah, I'll go first. You are too now. So I think one of the things we talked about before was the future. It's not one word, but the future of SaaS, like what would be great in it. And we started together in SaaS like over 10 years ago, and we were comparing what it was like to start then to what it is to start now. And we feel that the thing that we have maybe forgotten about is building trust, how important trust is. So trust between companies and their employees is one of the most important things. And with the reduction in VC funding, one of the things that sort of was first to go to manage profits was headcount, and that many people in the tech industry have lost trust in their employers, but it goes in both directions, that employers might have lost trust in the people as well. So we would love to see that rebuilt, because we know as customer success managers, the foundation of really, really, really long-lasting, strong relationships and long-lasting customer value sits on a relationship with our customers founded on trust. And so we want to see a reemergence of trust.
Beautiful. Building off of that, just remember that the end user of the technology is a human. And so connecting human to human is so critical.
Thank you so much. With that, thank you for joining us today. Thanks for being part of the show, and speak very soon. Goodbye, Kathleen and Kate. And to everybody else joining, thanks for being part of this. Thanks for being part of the show. Thanks, Jim, of course, for being a great co-host. Really looking forward to doing this again very, very soon. To everybody who joined, to the audience who was here live, who provided comments. So, by the way, thanks, Stefan, Nina, for your live comments. Always also feel free to add live questions if you like to do that. And don't forget to comment if you like the show. If you want to follow Jim, if you want to connect to Jim, Kate, or Kathleen, or myself, please feel free to do so. And please keep your eyes peeled for this Friday, where I will announce a very exciting guest for next week, who is based in the US, who might have written one of the very first books about customer success and is quite well known in the customer success space. So very exciting to reconnect and have this person on the call. The sessions will be conducted And as you saw, it's live, so there will also be some hiccups. The sessions will be conducted in English and German. Whenever it's in English, Jim will join us. If it's in German, I think we will still require some German classes before we can do so. We will announce it accordingly, and therefore make sure you're here. It's always happening on Wednesday, 5 p.m. CET. And yeah, you can be sure to get some more wisdom from us. By the way, why am I wearing a white shirt? As I said, it's live. I have to go to an event after this. So this is what happens if you do a live show, and we love it. Jim, any famous last words from your side?
No, I'm good. And I'm happy to show up on the German-speaking ones. I can show off my prowess for German cuss words because that's the only German I know. Oh, and Schmetterling. I know Schmetterling.
Ah, perfect. I might have trained you a few
go.
of these words during Code Camp back in the day, right, in Germany. So might have happened there.
Yeah.
Awesome. Perfect. Good afternoon then to you, Jim. Jim is, by the way, he's in the Boston area. I'm close to Berlin. And with that, we're closing for today. Remember, the journey never ends, and to customer value and beyond. Bye-bye.